Welcome back everyone to Jface Games. Today we're looking at a couple of the games. Mainly I had a play test recently of the current iteration of the game. There's some pros, there's some cons. I'll get to that in another video soon. But this is a lead up to that video because I wanted to explore a couple of their games and their mechanics to see how that then might affect or sort of play into our game design and what we've got going on. So the first game we're talking about here is TTRPG. For those unaware of index card RPG, I wasn't really aware of this game until very recently. I think it was actually recommended to me by one of the subscribers to the channel, and they mentioned it down in the comments section. The guy who does this, who created this, he has a YouTube channel that's really great. Also, Dwarven Dungeon. Someone will mention it here. I'll look it up just because I think it's important to give a shout out to the people that ICRPG, the people that do this stuff. Runehammer. So this guy's the Runehammer creator, was the guy who created this ICRPG. And so if we look at this, what are some of the things that really stood out to me in this system that I thought were really pretty cool? The first one I think that was really interesting to me was there was this idea that if you think about an encounter, encounters have a unified target number or DC, or difficulty challenge. In essence, what he does in this system is he uses index cards in essence to represent spacing or rooms or whatnot. And you'll have an index card and he'll tell you what the target number is for that index card. In essence, like this encounter, doesn't matter what's in the encounter. It could be, you know, a bunch of goblins, it could be a bunch of traps, it could be whatever. He'll give a target number and it's a D20 based system. He'll say the target number for this or the difficulty challenge of this encounter is a 12. What that means is that everything you want to do in that encounter, you have to do a 12 to succeed. So if there are traps in there, you gotta get the DC's 12. If there is a lock that you have to pick, the DC's 12. If there's monsters you have to attack, their AC's 12. Everything's 12 in there, okay? And so it really streamlines it. And one of the things he highlights is he says that he loves giving the number in advance because it makes the players feel like they're at Vegas and they're sort of like, you know, trying to roll sevens because they know what the target number is. They're just trying to hit that target number they're rolling for with whatever ability they're using. So I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, it has, to me, some difficulties there because of the fact that, say you want to have a bunch of minions and then a big boss. Hopefully the minions are very easy to knock around and knock down, and then the big boss is the challenge. But if every target has the same DC, I don't know how to balance it, but I haven't run the game yet. This is me making quick speculation off of a system that I haven't played. I bet it's awesome. I bet it's very thematic. I bet it's very easy. And you could probably just stack two index cards next to each other and make them, you know, a short distance away from each other. And this one's a 13, and it's got a bunch of minions in it. And this one is the big boss, and it's got a, you know, this one's target number is 15, this one's 11, whatever. So I thought that was really interesting. Another one he had was that, he had the dice. He had bound damage dice, right? And so if we look at this character sheet, in essence, it has the same stats as D&D, except that your stat is, it's not like an 18, it's like a +2 or a +3. It's just the pluses, because it tries to streamline the fact that you just want to be able to know what you're doing and then do it. But then everything you do costs, or not everything you do, every challenge you overcome takes a certain amount of effort to overcome it, is the language they use. And that effort might be the effort to kill a monster, the effort to disarm a trap, the effort to pick a lock, the effort to translate a scroll. There are some things that it doesn't cost effort. You either succeed at your check or you don't, and then that's that. It's like a, you know, pass-fail. But if you have to apply effort, then that effort you're applying depends on what you're using, right? So if I'm using my fists or I'm untrained and just a basic, it's a D4 amount of effort. If I'm using a weapon, so this is standard basic weapons and tools, D6. If you're using guns, I think that now in the new version, there's something besides just guns that are D8. If you're using magic or energy, it's a D10. 10. And anytime you get a crit, you get to also roll your ultimate dice with whatever you're rolling. And in essence, whenever something has effort to complete, it's always increments of 10, right? You never have like, oh, this thing is 6 effort. This is 10 effort, or it's 20, or it's 30, or it's 40, or it's 50. So it's supposed to be these very fast creation design behind something, because you're like, oh, this monster's in this encounter. This encounter's target number is 12. This monster has 2 hearts, and they use hearts in this system, and each heart is 10 hit points in essence. So I thought that was really cool, this bound concept. And that even the streamlined hit points is a pretty cool idea. So we can put in here bound dice, the effort or damage you are doing, streamlined hit points to increments of 10. This is actually effort required, not just hit points. And then another thing he does that's really interesting is his death dying. This is really cool, I thought, is that in essence, when you are dying, the first thing you do as a check is you roll a d6 to see how many rounds you have before dying or bleeding out. So if you're familiar with 5e, if you get knocked unconscious, you then make death saves every time of your turn. And you have this sort of timer of, if I fail 3 times, I'm dead. In this game, pretty much up the drama, if you go down, you roll a d6, and whatever you roll, that's how many rounds you have for your friends to get to you before you die. And then when your friends get to you, they have to revive you or do something to stabilize you. So in essence, you could roll a 1 or a 2, and it's like, guys, this has to happen now. But you might roll a 5 or a 6, and it's like, okay, you guys do what you gotta do. We've got some time. So those are some of my quick things I really liked from ICRPG. There's a really cool leveling mechanic too, where leveling is nothing to do with this, it's just loot. So it's very much that sort of like find cool stuff and see what happens. But those were my highlights for... Oh, it also had a really cool character design system, in the sense that if you think about these things, if strength, dex, con, int, wisdom, charisma, and then defense are all just how many pluses do I have, it makes it so that I think at the beginning of the game, it gives you like +6 or +8 and distribute it however you want. So I'm going to put 2 here, I'm going to put 1 here, I'm going to put 1 here, I'm going to put 2 in defense. I think now that was the original design. I think the new design, they kind of separate out like defense from these. So there's like, you can have 5 for these and then 4 for something over here. But a pretty cool system, pretty interesting. I was really pleased with it. I actually ordered the book. I can't wait to actually check it out and actually read through it and maybe even run a one-shot of it. So that's ICRPG, and those are my quick notes. It'd be interesting to think about what from this might be cool for, or what from this inspires the system I'm currently building. Because I think there's going to be some changes coming to the system. Not drastic, but more like workshopping. I always like to workshop a different idea and then come back and see where the middle ground is. So that's ICRPG. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. I'd love to chat.